So issue 10 on the new Ultimate Spider-Man is here, but this one is a little bit of a different story. You see, it's less Spider-Man thwipping and crime-stopping action and more of a mystery as the duo Uncle Ben and J. Jonah try to find out what is really happening in this new Ultimate Universe. Now, of course, my name is AJ here at the Hero Informer, and let's see what's going on. So we start off and pick up with The Paper, a news company started and ran by Uncle Ben, who is still alive here, and J. Jonah Jameson, as they go to try to investigate and unravel Kingpin and his connection to the Stark and Stain Company, which in fact they do get a lead, and they head off to Long Island to meet with someone very special, someone who still is a constant in this universe, like in the main 616, Wilson Fisk, right-hand man, James Wesley. And they actually get the jump on him, sneaking into a golf club to try and confront him, and for a plan that includes trespassing and going to talk to someone who is connected to a very dangerous individual, this actually goes surprisingly well for them, at least for now, because as the two invades his breakfast, at first he really thinks nothing of them, because yes, he does know what they do, but for right now he is unconcerned and unmoved, because so far The Paper, their news agency, has only gained traction reporting on mass vigilantes, such as Spider-Man and the Green Goblin, which in the grand scheme of things makes them a non-target. But right now they are about to dip their toes in more dangerous water, because Ben then goes on to do something which is good and bad. He pulls out some files that contain proof that James here is connected to the Stark and Stain Company sale, something that the powers that be here in this universe are trying to hide, as the buyer of the company has been hidden within multiple shell corporations. And the reason why this is important, this Stain Stark Company, is because Tony Stark in this universe is leading the Ultimates, and the Maker and his little posse that he has set in place here in this universe want to wipe him and everything he's trying to do from the face of the earth. But of course, James here, being connected directly to the Kingpin, doesn't give out any info and outright denies this, but this encounter does confirm Ben's and Jonah's suspicion that this is the right path they have to go down to reveal the truth, but also that this victory is twofold, because now their enemy knows what they are going after and who they are, as they are finally escorted out and continue their investigation back at their own building. And after hours of carefully researching and the weeks of planning, they finally come to a conclusion. It's Oscorp. It's always Oscorp, as Oscorp owns one of the companies that went through this buying and selling of the Stark Company. So as any good investigators and journalists do, they go to follow their lead. And this is a perfect situation for them because they have direct connections to the top of Oscorp. As a week later, they have an in-person sit-down meeting with Gwen Stacy, who here in this Ultimate Universe is married to Harry Osborn and inherited the Oscorp company after Norman Osborn was assassinated. And as these two older gentlemen arrive, at first everything is pretty normal and going good, because Gwen Stacy even has funded and given money to The Paper, their news agency, before even building their office and building that they have now. But it seems like this good rapport and relationship might get damaged with what they have to say following this, as Jonah starts revealing everything, saying last October Stain/Stark was sold off on the cheap. It was sold and resold to several faceless companies before eventually being bought out by a company under Oscorp. Now this obviously implies that you own it, and that's the story that we're working on. With Ben then taking it over from here, putting down a device to record anything that Gwen has to say, he then lays out their main questions for this encounter, asking who arranged to buy the company and why are you guys at Oscorp working so hard to hide the fact that you own this Stark company? What happened to all the technology? And why do all these things suddenly coincide with people suddenly flying through the air in armored suits? And lastly, they are wondering if she is the one secretly financing everything. And after dropping that giant reveal and some secrets that Gwen Stacy and Oscorp don't want to get out and leads that they don't want to be followed, she does care to comment on all of this, saying a few simple words. She wants her money back. Obviously not thrilled that the news agency she has helped funded are now investigating her for her shady business. And later that evening, we see some ramifications of this as Uncle Ben, while having a family dinner with the Parkers, we found out that Gwen Stacy called Mary Jane about this. As of course Mary Jane is the PR department of The Paper, she called to let her know that, she was not happy that the direction they are going in, which makes things difficult for two reasons. One, Mary Jane is sorta kind of friends with Gwen Stacy, not really, more like just business partners. And two, of course, Gwen and ultimately Oscorp is funding The Paper. But really the money isn't the issue here. Mary Jane is really just worried about if they are sure they want to go this route, publish this kind of story, because as she says, this could blow up everything you guys have been working on and been doing. But ultimately, Gwen had a question. She called so Mary Jane can ask the duo how long until they run the story. And of course, naturally, Uncle Ben gives her an answer, about a week. And because of this, with Gwen now knowing that she has a deadline before information that she really doesn't want public becoming public, she sends a certain someone to deal with it. And the someone is none other than Harry Osborn, this current reality's Green Goblin, who is more of a hero than villain, but isn't all that good. because as he makes it to the paper's office, he then whispers saying, "I hope you can forgive me if this doesn't go well, Peter," mentally preparing himself that if push comes to shove, he might have to get physical with the two older men, because under no circumstances can he let this information go public about what is going on with Oscorp and Stark Stain and all this that he is trying to prevent. So with him going up, we finally see how this encounter unfolds. In a moment which I think is pretty funny, it seems like Uncle Ben and J. Jonah had a bet on how long it would take for someone to come and confront them. But Harry Osborn here, not for any games or playing, he just gets right into it, telling them he needs them to not write that story about Oscorp and what their company may or may not own. But as we will find out in a pretty surprising twist, the entire time they weren't necessarily here to write a story about Oscorp, no. With Ben even going on to say that he didn't think that Harry or anybody at Oscorp had any bad intentions about buying and very carefully hiding the fact that they own the company, the Stark and Stain company. But no, the real story and the real reason why they are revealing the stuff about this is because it's hard to not notice the coordination between the time that Oscorp took over the Stark company and the emergence of a green armor flying through the sky, the Green Goblin. So what they think is going on is that Oscorp took existing Iron Man technology, put a shiny new coat of paint on it, and rebranded. But there's more than that. No, they have narrowed it down and came to the conclusion that they think it's either him, Harry Osborn, or his wife that is inside of the suit. Now, of course, we know it's Harry Osborn, but Uncle Ben and J. Jonah don't know that yet, or at least they don't know for sure, but they will soon as Harry materializes some of the Goblin suit, telling them to leave his wife out of it. And of course we see the two older men had a different bet this time, a bet on who it would be, the Goblin. But with Harry having enough of their banter and nonsense, he even goes on to say, "So you figured out I am the Goblin," which puts me in a dangerous spot. I guess the question now is, what am I going to do about it? As he flexes his now powered up glove, threatening violence. But again, there is a new twist, because as a duo go on to say, they're not really writing a story on who the Goblin is. And with Harry now extremely ticked off, he wants to get to the bottom of this for sure now. And so the duo finally lay it all out. First, starting about what they know in the real question. They know that Fisk enabled the sale of the company to Oscorp, but they also know that him, now as the Green Goblin, and his spider friend have been waging a two-person war on the Fisk Empire. So why would Fisk sell you the thing that you're using to destroy him? Which of course is a good assessment and question to the outside perspective, but Harry goes on to clarify and clear things up, saying because Fisk doesn't know that deep inside of the Stain and Stark company was a hidden record of what Fisk and the people who controlled Fisk, the Maker and his old doing, have been up to for decades. As he pulls out some sort of drive that contains all the information they have and have gathered on the Maker and his plans. And the only real reason he is doing this, even considering letting them know and giving them this information, is because Spider-Man, Peter Parker, says he can trust them. And it's not like they don't have the motivation to get to the bottom of this in the first place, because Aunt May in this universe was killed during an attack set up by Kingpin and his whole posse in the first place. So as he finally hands over the device, he tells them that this is everything Oscorp has on record about the man who made this world the way it is, the Maker and his entire council. But this information doesn't come without a clause or a warning. As he goes on to further say, "Do you think you're really up for this? Because these people are dangerous and they are ruthless. You have friends, families. There's a reason I wear a mask. I wouldn't put my name anywhere near this story." But of course, as always, like this entire time, they have a plan. As after another little time jump to later that evening, they fully took the information from the drive, researched it, compiled it into one digestible newsletter. But in the back of their heads, they know, once they publish this, once they go forward this way, there is no going back. Are they really dedicated to revealing the truth as much as they say they are? Ready to figuratively jump off a cliff, and with both of them agreeing, saying this is what they got into journalism for, revealing the truth, they then publish it. Publish a story on the Kingpin himself, and how Wilson Fisk runs New York, but who runs Wilson Fisk? The Maker and all of his wrongdoings. But instead of putting their own names or anywhere that they created the story, they use the moniker Ben Reilly. So yes, in this universe, Ben Reilly isn't a person, a clone, whatever. He is a fake secret identity that these two are using to expose everything. But of course, like always, this is never going to go just as smoothly and will for sure wrap around to bite them in their butt. But we will see that next time as this video comes to a close. If you've enjoyed watching, leave a like, or subscribe if you're new if you like this type of content. As always, this was the Hero Informer, and thank you for watching.